This is Story Saloon, short stories centre stage. I'm Jane Messer. In this episode, we're going to hear Golden Hour by Claire Aman from our October 7 show. Claire is the consummate short story writer, and Golden Hour is just one of her many prize-winning stories. The story was first published in the journal Overland, and she's also published a collection of short stories titled Bird Country. Reading Golden Hour is the wonderful Suzi Dougherty, an accomplished actor who has worked with many of Australia's leading theatre companies, including Bell Shakespeare, and for film and television in shows including The Narrow Road to the Deep North, Fake, The Kettering Incident, Fighting Season, The Unlisted, and a recurring role on Home and Away. In this story, we meet Faye and Dawn, two neighbours. It's a story about the small loan of money, mothering and childlessness, and a son that went missing decades ago. Now here's Suzi Dougherty reading Golden Hour.
Golden Hour by Claire Aman. The ginger cat has killed again. All that's left is a pinkish organ lying on the carpet. Everything else has been eaten. The cat climbs into Faye Bedwell's lap and urges itself at her, working its hindquarters and pushing its face at her neck, making her dream of a foxtrot on a purple carpet and the pink neck of a dance partner. Her mouth opens with a thrill. The doorbell chimes and the cat springs away. Faye crams her glasses on and heaves out of her chair. It chimes again. Her fingertips are as numb as meat these days, scrabbling at the security chain. There's a man, bald, little podge in front, clipboard. He's looking for a Donald and Faye Bedwell. That's me, smoothing her dressing gown collar. My late husband, Philip Turner. He looks like a Philip, stubby, Marcos and Platt solicitors. The loose ends that dangle from the financial particulars. My husband died last Easter. Sorry to hear that, Mrs. Bedwell. Mrs. Bedwell, did you and your husband ever reside in Grafton, New South Wales? Years ago, more than 20 years. We left in 1975. The year after their big win. But she doesn't mention that. Don didn't like her telling people. She pulls the door slightly so he can't see in. Just confirming, Mrs. Bedwell, are you able to tell me your former address in Grafton? He taps a pen on the clipboard. 8 Knoll Street. I'm going to ask you, did you know a Dawn Bennett at that time? Something in her sits up straight. Dawn, over the road. What's this about? He slides a yellow envelope out of the clipboard. It's all here. She angles it to the sunlight. Their names are typed on the front. D.G. and F.M. Bedwell. Sign here, Mrs. Bedwell, just to say you received the document. He holds out the pen until she takes it. She does a spidery signature and he's out the front gate with a click. Back in her armchair, she slits the envelope. There's a check for $200. The letter says, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Bedwell, we wish to inform you, beneficiary of monies, estate of Dawn Margaret Bennett, deceased. Faye presses her fingers to her temples, blinking. Dawn, paid us back the 200, have you? 20 years late, dead too by the look of it. Ask anyone born before 1950 and they'll tell you a rabbit story. In the 30s, everyone grew up on them. That's all people had to eat. Faye Bedwell knew how to cook a bunny. You stewed it slow with an onion. Don't bake it. She tried that once and it looked like a baby when she took it out of the oven. All hunched up and hard. Never again. Faye grew up in Texas, Queensland. There was a rabbit works, and every man, woman and child had a trap in their hand. Spring, tongue, chain and spike. You'd bury it just under the dirt, and then Mr. Bunny would come hopping along and snap. At the factory, they scun, packed and stacked 6,000 a day. Faye had a little yellow one her dad pulled out of the burrow, but the dogs ate it. Everyone was rich until myxomatosis killed the town. Don and Faye got married and moved south. Grafton had a new meatworks, and Don got shifted into the office after 6 months. They started paying off a tidy house in Knowles Street with a park and a school around the corner. The perfect position, they used to tell each other. But she never could hold those slippery babies inside her. And the way things turned out, it was always just Don and Faye at the showground dances or the jockey club. Their arms encircled for the waltz, the quick step, the rumba. One more for the road, then home again in the dark to the quiet house. They should have been grandparents by the time Dawn Bennett moved in over the road with her 9-year-old. Quinn was spindly with a shy smile. He used to come across to Don and Faye's and play with their cats. After Dawn got the boyfriend, the kid came just about every afternoon. Sometimes they'd even turn up in the mornings with his toast and Vegemite on a plate. "Wayne's over," Quinn tells Faye at the door. He follows her into the kitchen. She reaches up for the biscuit tin. "Is he nice to you?" He shrugs, hunches over and buries his face in the tabby's fur. Faye can see the pale knobble of his spine where his neck begins. He'd be about 12 by now. "Mum says I have to go back to my dad's." "Already?" "It'll be all right. I'll just go out the back if Dad's in a bad mood. Me and my little sister, we bring in the rabbits into the chook shed and play with them." He's got gentle fingers on the cat's neck, smoothing the fur over and over. "Pet ones?" Remembering the old trucks loaded with rabbits. "They're Loannas, 2 white ones and a brown one. We're animal lovers." "Loanna your half-sister, is she?" He nods. "Yeah, my little sister." It's hard to get a smile out of him these days, but now there's a proud curve to his mouth. Hear Dawn's voice from out in the street. Quinn has to get home. Dawn never comes into Faye's. She just stands at the gate and sings out. Faye and Quinn look through the Venetians. Over the road, Wayne's on the veranda with his legs wide, gripping the rail as if he's the captain. Quinn moves a little closer to Faye, not quite touching. He's like a cat that's been mistreated, rubbing itself around your legs but not letting you pat it. Faye watches Quinn quick-stepping over the road. She watches Wayne. "What does he do?" she asked Don later. "He works at the dog track, drives the lure." "I don't like the way he looks at Quinn," she says. "I don't like the sound of the father either. Poor old Quinn goes back and forth like a ping-pong ball. Why are some people allowed to have kids?" Her hands stealing to her breasts. They stand at the window staring out at their lawn. The sun is low, touching the trees golden. "It's just unfair," she says. Donnie puts on a record and holds out his arms. 4th prize in the 1974 Sydney Opera House lottery went to an anonymous North Coast couple. After the poor Thorn boy was grabbed by that Hungarian, the papers stopped publishing the names and addresses of winners. Predators could be anywhere. Everyone wants your money. Don retired early from the meatworks. He and Faye bought a Holden Statesman in Contessa gold with power windows. They took a run to Sydney, coming back with the latest home stereo system boxed up in the boot. They booked a South Pacific cruise with P&O. Quinn, now 15, was supposed to look after their cats while they were away. They made a pyramid of Whiskers tins, one for each day, and tapped an envelope on the top. Inside was $50. When they arrived home, the cats weren't purring to greet them, turning up 2 days later, boning and meowing. There were 6 tins of food left in the laundry and a mess of bird feathers under the clothesline. A week later, Faye bends over the veranda pot of maidenhair, snipping off the dead fawns. While they'd been away, there'd been a bushfire out of town. Fine black cinders still speckle the veranda boards. Across the road, Dawn's curtains are pulled shut. There's still no Quinn. His Pago cannibal fork waits for him on the mantelpiece. Here's Dawn, mooching along the footpath, head down, breasts bobbing for all the world to see, nothing on her feet. Why didn't they wear bras these days? Faye comes down to the gate and raises her hand in something between a wave and a command. Lovely morning. Dawn Court stops. Her nose is blotched pink, her eyes ringed. How was your holiday? Glorious, but the cats are half-starved. I don't know where Quinn got to. Dawn's body seems to sag for a moment. Sorry, Faye. Back with his dad, is he? Whoever that might be. I thought people would be more responsible. She waits, squeezing her secateurs open and shut. Sorry. It's the shape Dawn's mouth is making that stops Faye from saying her piece. Dawn was always a softie. Something must have happened, he says when she tells him about it. 4 months go by and there's still no Quinn. He'll be at his dad's, Dawn says. He'll be back. It's unusual for him to be away so long. Dawn keeps her head down as she walks past with her shopping, eyes on the ground. The look of her, they aren't game to say anything. None of our business, says Faye at the window. That Wayne character's fading out of the picture, says Dawn. I don't like him, says Faye. Dawn's been looking at the real estate pages. There are lovely waterfront estates in Surfers Paradise with orange sunsets and palm gardens and sliding doors. Dance clubs everywhere. He's talking investments. But they stay on Knoll Street, telling each other it's the sun pouring in through the glass, the cats stalking across the red carpet, the pink camellias outside. They watch Dawn go in and out. Quinn's cannibal fork stays on the mantelpiece. The cats have taken over his beanbag. They book another cruise. This time it's Aniara, Suva and Auckland, 28 days. On the Saturday, a week before they leave, Dawn's up the street having a haircut and Faye's in the bedroom with the suitcases. There's a tap at the front door. It's Dawn. Faye fills the jug and pats a kitchen chair. That night after dinner, after the dishes, Don says it's the right thing to do. He gets out his checkbook and he writes a check for $200, non-negotiable, payable to Dawn Bennett. Sweetheart, if that's what it takes, we'll put up the money. Private detectives charge top dollar. His signature unfurls across the dotted line. But why would he run away? Misunderstanding, says Faye. She can't bear to repeat what Dawn said. That Quinn's supposed to have got his little sister, Luana, in his father's shed and interfered with her. That he had 2 beltings, one from his father and one from Wayne, and hasn't been seen since. There are gaps and small lies. Faye puts the check in the envelope and takes it over to Dawn. I told Dawn you'd need it for a private detective, she says. He wouldn't believe in psychics. The $200 is for a round Australia ticket on a Pioneer bus. Get on and off any time. Dawn's packing a bag. The psychic, Irene, has informed her there'll be a journey. Dawn will have to set out, aided by her inner pathfinder. Quinn is far away, direction unknown. There are farms, red soil, trees. Dawn will know, but it's possible, according to Irene, that the cards, instead of answering Dawn's question, may be showing something important she needs to know. This in return for 10 cartons of Peter Stuyvesant and a large bottle of Alberto Balsam shampoo. Faye has to force herself to believe. But you'd give anything to see that face again. The unbearable sensation when a child slips away. She takes Dawn to the bus on Friday morning. The wheels crunch over gravel as it pulls out. Dawn is a daunted face at the window. Staying a few weeks with a sister in Kempsey, Faye tells Dawn. Dawn and Faye go on their cruise. They see Oniara, Suva, Auckland. They dance the night away. It's salsa, bossa nova, anything. They drink too much, gets chilly on deck, watching for land. Day after day they face the florid sunset. At last they're home. In the morning the cats have to be picked up. You go, doll, says Faye. Dawn backs the statesman out of the garage. When he's driven off, Faye goes over to Dawn's. They sit on a final couch, turning to face each other. They hear Dawn returning from the cattery. They hear a lawnmower, siren somewhere, dog barking, a plane. Later, Faye tells Dawn there's nothing so far from the detective agency. Few leads are being followed up, but nothing yet to go on. Yeah, investigations take time, he says. When Dawn told Faye on the couch, the country she travelled through on that pioneer bus, sitting bolt upright at the window, watching out for her boy. The thickets of twisty trees where he might be lost, like a Hansel trying to find his way home. Tractor drivers, not him. The places that rolled by, here, then gone. The shimmering road, tumbleweeds dancing, the woolly trees, the bright grasses. She slid Quinn's photo in and out of her handbag at takeaways, fruit stalls, bus stations and shops. She slept in her seat with her head against the glass. She walked orchard fence lines. She ate fried tomatoes and sausages with eggs, golden warm from the servo counters. All the way along the Pacific Highway, the Hume, the Goulburn, the Sturt, the Castlereagh, the Bruce, the Northern. She crossed the Nullarbor, watching the stars spray out across the night sky. She walked whole towns in peach country and irrigation districts, asking. They'd shake their heads and she'd get back on the next bus, moving onwards in a fug of diesel fumes and onion on her fingers. Quinn's photo, creased now, smear on one corner. That pretty fine country in the golden afternoons, where she could almost imagine things might have souls. The pink grasses, the sun on salt lakes, a moment when a cloud of little black and white birds rose up. Long quiet shadows, leaves drooping, lines of messy trees, a gentle weary cast to the paddocks. From Shepparton to Dubbo, there was a young woman next to her, and they took turns sleeping on each other's shoulder. The girl, a musician, said the cello was like a voice, deep and sad, like weeping in the late afternoon. On the 30th day, Dawn got off in Grafton, walked home and put her things away. I should have believed him, she told Faye on the sofa. Wayne's the one you had to watch. For years they kept spotting him. Early one morning, Don sees a kid in a beanie climbing onto a southbound truck. Faye sees him in a van in Brisbane. on television in a football crowd, at Sydney Airport, on a Cairns beach. They moved to the Gold Coast, writing their new address and phone number on a card for Dawn. They travel, they learn new dances. They grow old, but Quinn remains spindly, pale, innocent, forever moving out of the line of sight. After Philip from Marcos and Platt has gone, Faye eases down onto her knees and picks up the pink organ left by the ginger cat. That used to be Don's job. It's a stomach or a spleen from a mouse, little scurrying, hiding one with tiny feet and ears. The cat stares from the table as she wraps the thing in tissue, tucking and folding, ready to bury in the soft dirt under the hibiscus. The end.
The live readings for Story Saloon at the Vanguard were recorded by Martin Gallagher. Your host has been Jane Messer. A big thanks to the whole Story Saloon team.